fascinating. Boys, I do hope you understand the difference between working with fire and playing with fire.
Yes, sir.
Good. I sometimes wonder if I do. Playing with fire, indeed. But if it's not uranium...
What's uranium?
An element found in pitch blende.
What's bitumen?
This.
Looks to be plain old dirt.
So it does. But in this world, young Simpson, things are not always as plain as they appear. Now, for the rat. Who would like to help me? All right. Let it be Wiggins.
But Mr. Holmes...
Oh, come, Simpson. You got to play with him yesterday. Let's give someone else a turn.
How about me?
You, Mr. Cartwright, seem to be quite occupied with that book.
It's just a silly story.
I beg your pardon. I do not stock my library with silly stories, young man. Everything I read has its purpose. What's the title?
The Prince and the Pauper.
By that popular American author, Mark Twain. Tell me, Cartwright, is it worth my while?
Well, the story's a bit hard to swallow.
Far-fetched, is it?
Rather! You see, it's about this pauper, like us, in London, once a long time ago. And he switches places with his prince.
No more, Cartwright. You'll spoil it. Do continue reading, however. I should enjoy discussing the novel with you someday.
Besides, we got this rat to deal with just now, haven't we, Mr. Holmes?
Yes, we do. Now, I'm going to hold its head, and I want you to hold this glass vial under its mouth while I extract its saliva.
Yes, what?
Spit.
Rat spit.
I intend to analyze it for poisons.
Holy shit's blimey!
I ain't afraid.
Hear me say I was!
Steady, Wiggins. The tenor of your voice is exciting the fellow. Sufficient? Thank you, Mr. Rat. Do take some coffee as a refreshment, as I will in liquid form. Now, Wiggins, while I prepare the analysis, I wonder if you would help me with just one more thing.
Of course, sir.
On the lower left shelf, you will find a book entitled Sailing Directory of the Indian Archipelago and China and Japan. Check the index for an entry, Matilda Briggs. A fascinating riddle.
I like riddles.
I'm glad to hear it. I like riddles, too. Do you know what else I like?
What?
Music, do you?
Sure.
Well, then, why don't you pick up my Stradivarius and see what sort of music you can make?
You mean this fiddle?
Quite right, fiddle.
I've seen fiddles before, but I never played one.
Well, there's a first time for everything. Go on, experiment. I only ask that you treat it with some degree of care.
Only do what Mr. Holmes told me to. But you better make some funny sound about it! Can't help it, can I? And look, the rat even likes it.
Pardon?
See, when I go like this, I'm sure like he likes it.
So he does. Most intriguing experiment, Simpson. Pray, continue.
Such noise! It sounds like a cat being stepped on.
On second thought, Simpson, I believe we best bring the concert to an interval.
What's an interval?
Well, it's
Quite simply, Simpson, stop playing.
I do believe, Watson, I shall always remain a bachelor. Coffee, old man. Mrs. Hudson.
I can't imagine why I slept so late. All I know is I had the strangest dream having to do with the play last night. Only I was the Sleeping Beauty, and Lily Langtry, playing the Prince, of course, as she did last night, came right here to this house.
Well, Mrs. Hudson, it is with great pleasure that I announce that your wildest dreams are coming true.
Whatever do you mean, Mr. Holmes?
I mean, Mrs. Hudson, that indeed, late last night,
While you sat fast asleep in that very chair,
standing right there,
less than an arm's length away.
Not her.
not whom?
You know very well who. Lily Langtry?
My influence is becoming a force to be reckoned with, Watson. With a minimum of coaching, our own landlady has deduced the identity of last night's mystery guest.
And what's more, today we may expect not only Lily Langtry, but also the Prince of Wales.
The Prince of Wales. Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, I regret to inform you that breakfast will not be served. I have errands to make in order that I might offer refreshments suitable to our imminent, not to mention eminent, guests.
Mrs. Hudson, not a word to a living soul.
No?
By royal decree, Mrs. Hudson.
Oh, dash it all.
You too, lads. Whatever you witness within these chambers is privileged. It shall be shared by us and us alone. Gentlemen, have I your most solemn pledge?
Yes, sir.
I never doubted it. Now, back to work. Wiggins, has the guidebook anything to tell us of the Matilda Briggs? Of course. She would have been reported lost at sea in Batavia Bay. A ship arrives at Victoria Docks. Victoria Docks, Watson. On board a dying but not yet demented British captain and a crew of only 2 sailors, at least 10 days dead. The cargo?
Coffee, plants, and tea.
Planted not in its naked soil, but in
this one.
with traces of uranium and a substance I've yet to identify. An element that turns flame to crimson. Whence came this ship? Obviously the island of Sumatra.
Because of the carpetbag of Asian design.
And a rare species of rat that dines on coffee. Common slang for coffee.
Java.
Island neighbor to Sumatra, whose principal city of Batavia has as its harbor, appropriately enough, Batavia Bay, reported to be, more than 5 years ago, the site of a shipwreck of a certain
Matilda Briggs.
Obviously, the Matilda Briggs did not sink at sea, but has been sailing about the Indo-Asian waters, and has recently made a miraculous resurrection and returned to London. Infernal death ship that it is.
Regarding death, it would appear the extent of the damage is done. The captain and crew are all dead.
But what of its passengers?
Passengers?
Consider the testimony of the captain.
I dismiss that as the rantings of a madman.
Dismiss nothing. Consider everything.
Well, obviously he was upset at someone.
A passenger. He took to be you. Someone of learning, a man well-bred.
A doctor?
Not necessarily a doctor of medicine. There are other sorts of doctors.
Doctor philosophy.
Science.
Furthermore, the captain spoke of demons. Little devils dancing on his deck.
Oh, come now, Holmes. Devils, that was the ravings of a lunatic. Or that fire and brimstone, hell and damnation. Nonsense, I tell you.
Wrong! Watson, as plain as day, hell hath ascended on this our world. Or should I say as plain as sunrise and sunset?
Sunsets, crimson and green.
So coloured by the debris spewed forth from the calamitous eruption of the volcano Krakatoa barely 3 months ago.
Krakatoa?
Just off the coast of Sumatra and Java, exploding with a force beyond imagining, destroying over 150 coastal villages and 35,000 innocent people.
But Holmes, what does it all mean? Damn that underground construction, that dynamite blast nearly gave me a heart attack. Holmes, you can't stop now.
But we must stop, old man. Our guests have arrived. Lads, I must request you step into my bedchamber again. His Royal Highness the Prince may not appreciate your presence. Watson, the door, if you please.